Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is part 17C of our Let's Get Cooking series, where we are going to implement a new machine. The last two have been sorting out a few data assets, changing a few things, importing some assets. I was going to make another one of those today, but I think the rest of the changes we can do as we go along. So today is going to be a long one, and I suggest you grab yourself a coffee, limber up your fingers, and we're going to get cracking on this one. So without further ado, let's get going. The first thing we're going to do is just import some meshes and make a couple of materials that I forgot last time. I forgot to export from my other project, so we didn't have them. So we're going to include them now. So we're going to go to our drinks machine folder. We're going to right click, we're going to import into the content folder. Look for our coffee machine. You see we've now got one called button and button base. So we're going to import both of those. Import them. They're done. Oh, only did one. Okay. So again, we did buttons, so let's import button base. Import button base. Okay. And as always, when we import a mesh, we need to make a material. There are no textures for this one, it's just purely a material. And we're going to call this, we make a new material, we're going to call this M underscore button. And straight off the bat, we're going to make a material instance. We're going to say M underscore button. I'm going to call that one off. And we're going to duplicate that. We're going to call this one on. M underscore button on. So let's make our button. It's relatively simple. But we're going to do a hold down 4 on the keyboard. We're going to right click. We're going to convert this to a parameter, and we're going to call this color. Now choose your colors whatever you like, but for this one I chose something a little bit bright. So we go to our parameter here. You just check what I've got on this one. And I'm going to copy the hex to give you an idea. Let's enter. So it's like an orangey color. Okay. And what I did for that is I made it metallic. Did 1 on the metallic, 0.5 on the specular, and 0.2 on the roughness to make it a little bit shinier. And that is all I did. Yep, that's all I did. We'll apply that, save that. Go back to our content drawer. The off can stay that color. So you see that's already there. We don't need to change that. The on, we're going to change the color. So let's click our color. I'll tell you what color I made it. Again, you can choose your own colors if you don't like mine. That's absolutely fine. I'm going to choose the hex. Copy and paste the hex just to save a bit of time. I made it like a yellowy color. So we've got a shiny yellow. Save both of those. Go ahead and close those. So the first thing we do is we're going to make up the buttons. So let's open up our blueprints folder. I'm just preparing it in my parents folder. Okay, so go to our blueprints. Parent blueprints. Last time out we made a BPP button. We're going to open that up. And we've got a blank one here. So first of all, we're going to add a static mesh. And we're going to call this is the we'll call it the button base. Keyboard's not working. Base. Then we're going to also add another static mesh. Make sure it's a child of the first one, and we're going to call this button. And we're also going to add a sphere collision. And that needs to be of the button base. Okay, so child like that. So let's first of all set up the static meshes. First of all, what I did was I dragged the button base onto default scene root to make that the new default scene root. And we're going to change this to button base. That one there. Make sure I save everything. Okay, so we've got our button base here. It's quite small, which is fine. If you compile it, you'll get our material, and we're going to get our. We use the clear coat because we want it black. We've got a little black base here. The next thing we want to do is our button. So we're going to add the mesh and we're going to call it button. So you see, trying to get a better view of it for you. Here we go. If you compile it, you get the there. And we're going to use the button off as our default material. You like that. The next thing we do is going to resize our sphere. So we're going to click on the sphere. At the moment it's 32. We're going to change the radius to 5, so it's a lot smaller, a lot more manageable. And the button, we do need to make a slight, again zoom in on this. Make a slight adjustment of here to be -0.1. Just you can have it sticking out more if you want, but just have to adjust things accordingly. Okay, so that's all we need to do in the viewport of that. There is a bit of setting up to do in the other things. So first of all, we need to add a few variables. Let's go ahead and add those now. The first one is going to be machine ref, and this is going to be our BPP underscore links machine parent. and I made that one instant editable and exposed. Why is everything so weird on my Unreal today? Okay, expose on spawn like so. Next one we're going to add is one called the spent amount, and that's going to be a float. I also made that instant editable, but I don't really believe we need to, but it doesn't matter. And we're going to add a data asset, which is going to be our PA underscore base. And we're going to add one more button index, and that's going to be an integer. Good, so we've got our variable set up. Let's go into the code. It's our event graph. And we have to add a few interfaces. Let's go to our class settings. We need to, first of all, we need to make a new interface. So let's go to our blueprints, our interfaces, and we're going to make a new one. I'm not sure I haven't got it here already. No, I haven't. Make a new blueprint interface. And call it BPI underscore buttons. To save it, as long as we've got a reference to it there, we can add it. In our class settings, we're going to add the following interfaces. We're going to add the BPI buttons. We're going to add BPI game base, and we're going to also add the BPI interact. So we have all of those added. Compile and save that. You should see we have our interfaces here. The bottom one's missing because there's no functions in it at the moment, which is what we're going to go straight ahead and do. So let's go back to our folder. We're going to open up the BPI buttons, and I'm just going to do the same thing on my other ones so that on the same page. And we're going to add three functions. Sorry, I just got distracted by something. The button ref is one. And give button ref. So again, no inputs, but it has one output, and it's of, and we're going to call it button, and its type is BPP underscore button. We're going to add another function, and this one is called set button index. And I believe it only has an input. It does. It has an input, which is called index. And as always with an index, it is normally an integer. And the last one we're going to add in here is give button recipe. I know it sounds a strange thing to say, but basically what this one will do is it will give us what recipe is linked to that button. So we're going to add an output on that. We're going to call it recipe, and it's of type, I believe, yes, it should be of type DA recipe. Good job. We can go ahead and close that. And now we've got our button. Okay, we've got them here. Let's make that a bit neater actually. I forgot to categorize them. So let's open that up and quickly categorize them. We'll change the default category to button. And now we can do the rest from the drop down. Just makes things a bit neater when we look into our button here. We see we've got them all here. They're not all open up spread about. Okay, so we've got that. I have got far too many windows open in my bear with me just a second. Okay, here we go. Right, so in our BPI button, BPP button, I should say. Have anything on begin play? I don't think so. No, we don't. So, have a look. No event dispatches. Okay. So, this is a little bit, going to be a little bit backward and forward, but do what we can. I think just to make life easier, data asset. Okay, so we're going to make a couple of data assets up first, just to make life a bit easier. We're going to end up getting a little bit confused as we go along the line. The first one is in items data, I believe. Oh no, I put it in appliances. And we're going to make a new miscellaneous data asset from base, I believe. From the base, yes, this one's from the base. And we're just going to call it DA underscore button. And we're going to make another new one. And this is from DA appliances. And this is going to be DA underscore, and I'll call it coffee machine. Like so. Let's go ahead and fill those out, and we've got them all done. So we'll open up the DA button first. This one's very, very simple. We're not worrying about the meshes or anything else. Item name, we're just going to call button. And I'm going to copy and paste it. Going to put use LMB to press, and we're going to take off the use prefix. At the moment, this will have no effect because we haven't done the code for it, but we will do shortly. That's all we're doing in that. Item type doesn't matter. Okay, so that's fine for that one. Nice and simple. And the DA coffee machine. It's not that difficult either, so it's clients. Static mesh is going to be our copy machine. And it's going to copy and paste. Name is obviously copy machine in this case, or whatever you want to call yours. And in the description. The descriptions we've not been using a lot of in some of these, but we will do later on down the line. So it's worth adding them now. And we're going to uncheck these two. We're going to say use press. And we're going to copy. I'm going to copy and paste this and put in interaction message. Place cup on machine. Okay. I think we can possibly off actually for that. I don't think I've used it. And that's all we need for that. That's all she wrote for that. So go back to her BPP button. We can go ahead and we can set our data asset to be a button so that has the relevant messages. Closing down some of my stuff in my other project is to make life more sensible. Okay. Close down and leave that open for now. So in our BA button, we're going to start putting out some of these functions. So let's have a look. Event begin play. We don't have anything, so we can get rid of these three. We don't need those. We're going to make a new custom event. It has been custom event. And just call it button press, like so. We're going to get our machine ref. From here, we're going to get is pouring. Should be part, if we've made it correctly, it should be part of the parent blueprint. The branch. It's already pouring. We don't want it to do anything. We're going to do a play from start here in a moment. We haven't made the timeline. This is what we're going to do next. Doing some empty space. Right click, add timeline component. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Add timeline, not the component, the timeline. We're going to call this button push. And I just did it. How long did I do it? I did it a very short one. So in here, I did the track. That's 0.5 seconds. Add a track. Call it alpha. You know the deal. Only for doing a quick animation. We're going to add 2 points. First one is going to be 0. Have 0, enter. And the second one is going to be 0.5. 0.5 tab 1. And as always, we're going to select both of these, stick it on auto, compile. We can go ahead and close that. So we have our timeline. Right, just double checking something there. Okay, so we're just going to get our button. We're going to set relative location on the update. We're going to alert vector. Give ourselves a bit of space. I'm trying to zoom in a bit to try and help you guys a little bit understand it. Alpha goes to alpha off your timeline, like so. And we look at what our set button was, which was 0.1. It's all gone a bit strange. Okay, so I'm going to default editor layout. Reach this quest my editor. Okay, we're back. So we got to here. Like I was saying, we were looking at what our default button was, and it was 0.1. Why we've got my Unreal's gone all stupid, and I don't know why. Pull these out ridiculous now to read it. So that's 0.1, so we're going to use that as our start. So 0.1. So we can make sure it's negative 0.1. And I used for the end on this one. Let me just quickly get it back up because it cuts that one as well. Okay, so and our end here, or B point, is negative 0.5. So it only moves a tiny bit, but it's enough to give the effect. Not a lot to worry about. Okay, so what we're going to do now is from direction, we're going to do a switch. And we're going to click that to the finished. Okay, we're going to get a button. You can sort of stick it in the middle here because we're using the same thing again. I'm going to say set material. Copy and paste that. We're going to need 2 of those. We'll get to connect your target up, or else you'll get errors. And on this one, if it's going forward, we're going to say button on. And this one, we're going to say button off. This just gives us a visual effect of pressing the button. We can't, there is some more code to add to this, but we can't do that right yet because we haven't got it set up in the machine. But we can go ahead here now and we can drag in our button push timeline from here, and we can just say play on start. We do that off of the false because if we're pouring, we don't want to get a pour again. Okay. The other things we need to do are from our interfaces. not sure. Bear with me one moment. Something's not looking quite right here. Makes sense now. Okay, so we're going to, from our interact, or let's do it from our button. We're going to say set button index, and we're just going to drag in our button index, nice and simple on that one. The next one we can't do yet because we haven't made it in our machine. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So we need to make our machine. We need to add some stuff to our machine base. So I'm just, bear with me 1 second. The machine ended up a lot more complicated than I initially wanted it to be, but that's sometimes how it goes. And sometimes we have to bear with it. So okay, so what we're going to do is in our blueprints, parents blueprints, our drinks machine parent, do a little bit of work in here first. We're going to open up into the full editor. And first thing we do, I'm going to work through this list, event begin play. Okay, so first thing we've got to do now also is open up our Kitchen Manager interface, which is here somewhere, BPI Kitchen Manager. And under utils, okay, we've got a few extra stuff, but that's for another. Okay, right. I'm also having to be a little bit careful here because I'm a little bit ahead in the development for the next stage, and I've got to make sure that I don't tell you the wrong thing. So we're going to make a new function called set drinks machine ref, and we're going to put that under utils, and that has an input called drinks machine, and it's of type. Oh, what do I mean by my Unreal? It's gone all, everything's all squished over to the right hand side there, and I don't know why. So it makes it a little bit tricky. So we're going to call this, which is a BPP drinks machine parent, I believe. Yes. Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah. At least we can move this out, but it's a pain in the other ones. Okay. So we can go ahead and do that. That's done, and we need to add one more function. Div drinks machine ref. These two functions are going to be used mostly for pinning the order. We can have an output, and we can put drinks machine, and it's of a BP drinks machine, so it's already set. I'm going to stick that in the category of For some reason that is playing up. Never mind. Okay. Save on that. I don't know why that is suddenly playing up. Try something. Do a compile. Do a save. Okay. Bear with me. I was going to sort that problem out. Okay, I'm back. What may have seemed a second for you is it took me over an hour to sort out. If you ever get a problem like that, it's worth, as I've just found out, I've never really had a problem like that before, of something not saving a particular asset. Everything else was saving fine, it was just that one asset. Just go into your task manager, and, close down your Unreal, go into your task manager, type in Unreal in search and close any running instances. Sometimes Unreal leaves stuff behind, and that seemed to eventually solve it for me. Anyway, back to the video. So I actually made the functions in our BPI Kitchen Manager, and they're all saved. I'm just going to put up to utils, and let's compile it, and it's saved. Click save, it all works fine now. Good, happy and dandy. Right. I've lost my train of thought, so just give me a moment. Find the correct part we were in on our so don't appear to have that open in my I want to just quickly open it again. Okay, so where were we at? So from the start, and drinks machine parent, I believe, is where we were at. Yes. So drinks machine parent, we were working our way through this. So on begin play, we need to get our kitchen manager. Just a thought. I've not tried it, but it might say if you wanted to promote this to a variable, you can, or you can just keep calling that node. It's entirely up to you. So now we're going to say set drinks machine reference message. And that's going to be self. So that's that one. I'll make sure that's saving for me. It is. Lovely job. Okay. No. Okay, so from our interfaces, ingredient. Oh, okay. So we're going to look for our ingredients, set ingredients list here. I'm just going to make sure we haven't got it already. we don't. We need to add variables. Okay. First of all, we're going to promote this to a variable. With recipe. We are going to go down to recipe here. We're going to right click on it. We're going to move it to the parent class. It'll open up the parent class. It's going to compile it and save it. Make sure we're fine. Then the next thing we're going to do is from here we're going to say get ingredients list. We're also going to promote that to a variable. And the same again, we're going to move that to a parent because we want to be able to access it from other appliances as well. Because some of the changes we're going to do later. And that's that for that. And in our UI, we've got our refresh UI. And we are going to need to make a couple of functions. These is in appliances. Let me just double check here. No, it isn't. Like I said, this is yes, it is. This is a little bit back and forth is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so we need to go and make a new function in our BP appliances. So we go to here. We're going to add a function, and it's going to be called update pinned list. Now, this may break your prep table momentarily, but we will be going ahead and fixing that. Just make that there like that. Don't need to fill it out because each item you will override it. Go back to our drinks machine parent. Now you should see in our override list we have update pinned list. We don't need the parent one. We can go ahead and do that now. And this is called from. Okay. Overwritten, is it? Okay, so we're going to make a new function. In fact, we can make the same function on BP appliances and just make it as an empty function. So we can say add this function, find ingredient, and we can make it pure. We need two inputs. First input being ingredient to find, and that is of type D8 ingredients. Second input is going to be required. This is, again, we will override this in our PEP table because it will break the PEP table initially. Don't worry too much, we will fix that. And we have one more, and we're just going to call it return value. And that is of type Boolean. We're going to leave it like that, compile that. I've got my 7 compile, yes I have. So now if we go to our Brinks machine parent, we can override that as well. So we're going to go ahead and override that first. Oh no, we're going to finish this first, and we'll override that field. So first thing we do is we're going to get our ingredients list just made, and we're going to say is not empty. Okay, we don't care if it's empty, then there's no point running the code. So if it's not empty, true. Let's try and zoom in a bit for you guys. We're going to get our ingredients list. We're going to do a for each loop for map of true. We're going to get the map key. We're going to promote to a local variable, and we're going to call this L ingredient. We're then going to get our find ingredients, the one we just made. Okay, we can link that straight to there, it's fine, and the map value to there. I'm going to do a branch off of that, like so. We're going to make a new local variable called L checked state, and this is of type, so I can never remember what that is. Double check. Of E check box state. Drag that in 2 times. If it's false, we're going to say unchecked. If it's true, we're going to move it to checked. And then we're going to get our kitchen manager again. We're going to get pinned recipe lines array. Both of those can go into there. We're going to for each through those. And we're going to, from there, we're going to say update line. The ingredient is going to be our local ingredient. And our check state is going to be our local check state. Okay, so that's that done. It will not work at the moment because we have not filled in this. Now, if we double click it, it goes to the appliances one, which is not what we want. We want to override it in our Brinks parent. So you go to your functions, click on override, and you look for your find ingredient. And it gives out override. We don't want the parent call, so we can delete that. Okay. So what this is doing is looking for the correct ingredient. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to go to this ingredients list here. We're going to duplicate this. We're going to call it machine contains. Okay. And this is a parent, so we don't need to fill it in with anything as long as we've got it. So we're going to drag that in. And the first thing we do is we're going to find. So we're going to look for the ingredient in the map from the ingredient to find there. We're going to make a couple of local variables. So we're going to call L found, which is a Boolean, and L quantity, which is an integer. Drag in both of those and we're going to set them to null. We shouldn't really need to because they should automatically set to null anyway, but it's a bit of a belt and braces because any local variables within inside a function are for their default values. Just in case we get any spurious information, sometimes it's worth just clearing them. I have had problems with it in the past. Okay, we then join our, so this tells us whether we found that ingredient, so we return the value there. If it's true, we return the quantity that we found, and we set our L found to true. And if it's false, we simply make sure they're set to null or default values. Put both to here. Now we need to work out what we're going to add for our return value. So we get our required, right at the bottom of the list, and we get our L quantity, and we say is our L quantity greater than or equals to what we require. So in other words, does it have the amount or more? And we also get our L found. We do an AND Boolean. So we're belt and braces checking, and we're outputting. So if we found it, this is the right amount, then it will say yes, we can go ahead and proceed. So that's that function overwritten. So that should work fine on there. Now, where was I when I got to that? So we did our set there. Now we need to bring in our update pinned list here on event refresh UI. Okay, that's all we need to do so far in the event graph on that. Let me see. We've got our construction shift. Okay, so we need to make a function in here now. But yes, we do have that. Okay, so we need to add another variable. We call it cup ref, and that's going to be bpp underscore cup parent. Okay. Do we need any more? We've got recipes. Yes, we do. We need to add machine buttons, and this is of BPP button, and this is an array. And another one, we're going to call it active button, and that's a BPP button, but it's a single button. And we have one more, which we can call dispense amount plural. It's going to be a float, and that's going to be an array. Okay, let's see how long we've been running on this video. Okay, we've already been going on an hour and we've hardly scratched the surface, but like I said, this is going to be a long one, so bear with me. I may decide to cut it up in edit. If I do, it will be around about this point, but we'll see. Okay, so let's make a new function. We're going to call it activate button, and as an input index, and does it have any output? It has no output. Okay, so from here we're going to say get a couplet. We're going to check if it's valid. Convert it to validated get. We're going to say is empty. Give is empty message. You should have it been following along. BPI ingredients. Okay, we may have a problem with here. I'm not sure why. Let me just double check on my other one. It doesn't seem right. Let's have a look at our BPIs on here. On my test one, it's got the empty on there. Was right, then in that case we are using the wrong one. So you need to go to interfaces. The reason we have it on Turbo. Go to our BPI containers. We need to add a few functions in here. We've got give recipe and container. We're going to add a few functions in here. So we're going to add a function. This is going to be fill container. This will be under containers. There are no inputs or outputs for that one. And we're going to do set drinks machine reference. These are all going to be under containers. And that has an input of machine. And that's of BPP drinks machine parent. It's under containers. We're going to have another one. Is empty question mark, and that has a output of is empty, and that's like boolean. Okay. Make sure we put that. Sorry, I was just looking at my other one. Put that there. This one I'm not sure. This is why I paused there for a moment. Whether I've used it, but we're going to make it. If we don't use it, we can always go back and delete it. So give contents mesh. And that has an output of a static mesh component, and we'll just call it contents mesh. And this is of type in the group of containers. Compile that. And add another one. Set content color. And that has an input of a linear color. I'm just going to call this color. And the final one, okay, let's make sure we put it under containers. Final one is going to be give can contain. Again, we're going to put that under containers as an output of can contain. Oh, contain, not contain. And it's of type DA base. Okay, compile and save that. We're going to go back to our drinks machine parent. We're going to delete that, and we're going to say is empty question mark under the containers heading message. Now I'm happier with that now, and I really would like to I'm just going to finish this function, and then I'm going to call this video here, but I will be recording the next one straight away. It's getting a little bit too complex and a little bit long, so I'd like to cut it into parts, but they will be uploaded on the same day, so if you're following along, you don't have to wait a week or anything for that. So we're going to do a branch from here. Let's deal with the false first. We're going to do add chef comment from our library. And we're just going to write in our comment, cup is full. Put some exclamation marks to emphasize the point. Okay. We've got to make up. I don't like leaving a function half done. So we're going to have to make another 2 functions, I believe. Yes. Decisions. Okay, yeah, we're going to go ahead. We'll finish this function. We're going to cut the video and then we'll reconvene straight away. So first of all, we're going to get our machines button variable here. We're going to do a get. You can only get a copy on this because it's a blueprint. We're going to get our index from the front here. Type in index. And we're going to get our active button. We're going to make that our active button. So now we need to do some more checks. This is all to do with whether we can actually, if we press a button, whether it actually dispenses a liquid. First of all, we've checked whether it's full. If the cup is full, obviously there's no point trying to put liquid in it. That's not going to work. So now we need to do 2 more checks. So we need to make 2 more functions. First one is going to be check if correct size, or actually correct cup size. And go ahead and put some spaces, and that has an output of return value of type Boolean. Compile that. That needs to be a pure function. And we're going to just duplicate that straight away before we do any more coding in there. And go check if correct button pressed. I did consider when I was doing this to whether we should make this into a macro, but I think this makes the code a little bit less confusing. You can see each step as we go along. So check if correct cup size first. Let's do that. We're going to get our kitchen manager. We're going to get the recipe, which is the recipe message. Move it out of the way for a moment. And we're going to promote that to a local variable. Call it L recipe. And I'm going to do these fairly quickly, but you can pause the video. And on here, we're going to have content. quantity, which is what we updated the recipe with the other video. We're going to get cup reference here. Get DA container. And from DA container, we're going to get capacity. And we're going to say, are these equal? And we're simply going to return value. So when we set the recipe up, the recipe will have the size, the quantity, 16 or 12. In the container, in the cup, when we make the data assets for the cups, they're going to also be set to 12 or 16. We're saying if we've got the right cup size for the recipe. So basically in your recipe, we're going to add 4 more items. We've got 2. We've got the toast and jam, butter and toast, and jam, bread and butter and jam. We're going to be adding medium white coffee, medium black coffee, large black coffee, large white coffee. So this is where this one comes in. Now we're going to go ahead and do the next one. Check the correct button pressed. We can cheat a little bit. Yes, we can. So let's disconnect that for now. I'm going to rush through this. I want to finish that, and I want to finish this video. It's already running an hour and 12 minutes. So let's go back to our check if cup. Here we can go here. These 3 nodes here we can copy and paste. You're going to get a problem with that one there. So right click it, create, make sure you create a local variable, not variable. That will solve that problem. Not that we really need it, but we're not using it, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so recipe. Where did I miss that out? Ingredients list, machine contains. Okay, so we need to basically sorry, we need to add another variable and go. I called it recipes per button because I couldn't think of a better name. This means what recipe is on that button, and it's of DA recipe, and just dragging it out here. It is a map, and it's an integer as it's there. That's fine. So we're going to get that. And we are going to find this. Do a find on this. We're going to look for this recipe here. And we're going to look for active button here. We're going to get button index. And we're going to see if these are equal. This will make sense later on when we actually make more of the coffee machine itself. Doesn't seem to make too much sense in the drinks parent, but you will understand as we go along. Okay, compile and save that. Now back to this activate button. So basically you're going to bring them both in. Doesn't really matter what order you put them in, but I did it in this particular order. Do a branch from there. And we do a chef's comment. Now I'm just going to copy and paste it. Oh, it won't let me paste it. Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste that one. So if it's wrong cup size here, we're going to put wrong cup size in here. We're going to need another one, so I'm going to paste another one. Oh, come on. Okay. We could do another branch. Bringing out correct button press. And it's going to say this one. We're going to say wrong button select. Selected. False on there. And if finally it gets through all of that, we're bringing our active button and we're going to say button. But we don't appear to have it. Why don't we have it? Thought we did that one. We did, but I can't spell. Three keys and button doesn't work. Can't save that. Okay, let's try again. Button press, full function and button press. There we go. Okay, so that would deal with that. I'm going to leave this as it is, where it is. I'm going to call the end to this video, and I'm going to go, like I've just previously said many times, I'm going to go have a quick coffee and go straight ahead and make the next one, so you will get them both on the same day. If you like my videos and my content, please hit that like button and subscribe. If you don't like it, send me a comment, tell me why, but please keep it civil. I try to make this family friendly, and any abusive or comments that don't help other people or will be deleted, so don't waste your time typing them. If you really do have a beef with my content, or you really have a problem with my content, you want to talk to me, you can hit me up on Discord and we can have a head-to-head. I haven't got a problem with that. If you need any help, join the Discord, hit me up with a DM. Happy to help. And if you need some personal tuition on any of my content or anything that you're trying to do, again, hit me up on Discord. We can always make some sort of arrangement. If you really like my content, consider joining my Patreon and or buying me a coffee. See you in the next one. Bye.